Welcome back here on Fantasy Fix. We prefer to go with the one-back set, and our feature back is none other than former Rams All-Pro from BowDogFantasy.net, Marshall Faulk. By the way, still looking to join a league. BowDog Fantasy has public and private commissioners as well as pick'em leagues, and it's all for free. All right, now to the matter at hand. Welcome, Marshall, and I want to get right to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The running back tandem of Fred Taylor and Maurice Jones-Drew shut down by the Titans last week. Sunday, they get the low-flying Falcons in their home opener. What do you expect from this two-headed monster in Jacksonville?
You know what I expect for them to at least have a better game against the Falcons D, who are missing. You know, they let go Patrick Kearney, Rock Coleman, he's hurt. I expect them to have a big game and try to resurrect that running game, because if they can't run, then they can't win the games. That's why Tennessee beat them. They ran the ball, a record for 300 and some odd yards against them.
Yeah, just about. They look really good. Chris Brown, I think, had 170 of those. Edgerrin James looked like a new man Monday night against the Niners. Now, when you look back to last season, was he unproductive because he was getting older, or was it the offensive line that looked somewhat improved so far?
You know what, I'd say this here, you know, running backs, when they get to that 30-plus, you tend to fall off the table. But Edgerrin is a bad example of that. The offensive line last year for the Cardinals were just, flat out horrible. We saw them in the game against the Bears when they gave up sacks. That when Liner got blasted, ball comes out, defense scored. The offense couldn't even score. The defense and the special team scored and beat them. Offensive line was terrible. Much better this year with Wisenhunt and Russ Grimm, I must say.
Yeah,
did a great job with those guys.
The Cardinals defense also held Frank Gore in check Monday. This week they face another star running back in Seattle, Sean Alexander. Hey, can the former MVP beat that young and vibrant Arizona defense? What do you think?
You know what? It's going to be tough. And I think early in the season it's going to be tough for a lot of running backs. And you have to be careful with playing them, and depending on who they're playing against, if they're going up against a solid defense. Because if you look at the trend now, running backs aren't getting much run in the preseason. That means it's going to be a slow start for them. So you want to be careful when you play a good running back like a Daniel Tomlinson against the Chicago Bear defense, because the defense that has much more continuity compared to LT, who didn't take a lot of snaps, is not going to be in sync.
Ooh, how about the Rams, your old team? They're going to have to play the rest of the season without future Hall of Famer left tackle Orlando Pace. Is this going to present a problem for people who own Steven Jackson, who, by the way, fumbled on consecutive carries last week? So I don't know if this has affected him at all.
You know what, I think when you look at last season, they lost Orlando Pace probably for the last 6 or 7 or 8 games. And Steven kept racking up points and touchdowns and yardage. He had a great year last year. But when you look at him now, it's whether they can continue to do that. If the guy that fills in for Orlando can continue to move the ball, I think it hurts Mark Bolger, it hurts Isaac Bruce, it hurts Joey Holt in the passing game more than it does the running game, because the core three in the middle, the 2 guards in the center, those guys work well together, and they provide great holes for Steven Jackson.
Yeah, it's a good point. His blind-sided protection there from Mark Bolger is what Orlando Pace has been doing for years and years. All right, give me your stud, your dud, and your sleeper of the week.
You know what, my stud, obviously you look at Carson Palmer going up against a Browns secondary, whom last week, let's be honest, Ben Roethlisberger, he's a guy who manages the game. Last year had a great game against them. When you think about dud, you have to think about Thomas Jones going up against the Ravens defense. We know Ray Lewis and his defense is upset after what happened last week. Not to mention Chad Pennington might not be playing in this game, and they're really going to put the load on Thomas Jones. I don't see him doing it against the Ravens. My sleeper, you have to understand this. This guy is about as inconsistent as the stock market. Rex Grossman, after last week having a horrible game against the Chargers, fumbling the ball, throwing interceptions, this is what he did last year. He's going to have a great game against the Chiefs secondary, whom, let's be honest, the Chiefs on offense, that's all they have is Larry Johnson. And if you know that the Bears are going to stop Larry Johnson, because you saw what they did against LT last week, that means they're going to have more opportunities. Bernard Berrien down the field, Mushi Muhammad. I look for Rex Grossman to have a great game.
I like it. In fact, Rex, different quarterback when he's playing there at Soldier Field. All right, Marshall, just like your playing days, you're a step ahead of the game. Solid stuff. We'll see you next week. And once again, we'd like to thank BowDogFantasy.net.
All right, guys.